You think you know what a trillionaire looks like. Private jets, islands, gold, everything. You're wrong. A trillionaire doesn't live in the public eye. They are the public eye. They own the media, the politicians, the narrative. And today, you're one of them. This is not a story about wealth. This is a story about what wealth actually costs. 10 levels, one truth. Let's begin. Level 1. The bloodline. You don't remember the day you were told. You were 7 years old, sitting in a library the size of a football field. A house that didn't appear on any map. Your grandfather placed a single document in front of you. No words, just a number. The kind of number that doesn't fit on a calculator. He looked at you, not with love, but with evaluation, and said, "You were not born. You were selected." You didn't understand it then. You do now. Level 2. The curriculum. You never went to Harvard, never went to Oxford. Those are schools for people who need credentials. You needed none. At age 10, tutors arrived at the estate. Not teachers, operatives. Macroeconomics, behavioral psychology, game theory, political architecture. One of them, a former CIA analyst, taught you a lesson you never forgot. He said, "Power isn't about money. Money is just the language power uses to speak." You were 11. You took notes. Level 3. The first billion. At 18, they handed you a fund. Not a trust fund. A sovereign wealth fund. $1 billion. One rule. Grow it, or prove you don't belong here. Within 3 years, you'd turned it into 4. Not through genius, through access. You had information nobody else had. You knew which markets would collapse before they collapsed, which governments would fall before they fell. You weren't investing. You were writing history before anyone else could read it. Level 4. The introduction. The year you turned 21, you received a phone call. No name, no greeting, just an address, a room, underground, no windows. 8 people seated at a table. You recognized none of their faces, but you recognized their power the moment you walked in. One of them, a woman who appeared nowhere in any public record, slid a folder toward you. Inside, the names of every world leader who owed them a favor. "Welcome to the real table," she said. You sat down. Level 5. The first test. 3 months later, they gave you a decision to make. A South American country was on the edge. Their newly elected president, planning to nationalize an industry your family had controlled for 60 years. You had 1 week to resolve it. Resolve did not mean negotiate. You stared at the file for 6 hours. And then, you made the call. You told yourself it was business. You told yourself everyone at that table would have done the same thing. You still tell yourself that. Some nights it almost works. Level 6. The architecture. By 27, you didn't follow the news. You wrote it. Not literally, but the networks that carried it. You owned 3 of them. The think tanks that shaped policy, your foundation funded them. The politicians who declared independence, they cleared their speeches with your office first. You had a term for this. Not control. Infrastructure. Just like no one blames the architect when a building collapses, they blame the building. You were the architect. Invisible, essential, unaccountable. Level 7. The cost. At 32, you tried to fall in love. She was real, genuinely, inconveniently real. She asked you questions nobody asked you. What do you actually believe? What keeps you up at night? Who are you when no one's watching? You wanted to answer. You realized, somewhere in the silence, that you couldn't. Not because you didn't trust her, because the person she was asking about no longer existed. Somewhere between level 1 and level 7, you had been replaced by architecture. Level 8. The ledger. The year you crossed into your second trillion, you found the ledger. Not a financial ledger, a different kind. Every family at that underground table kept one. Names, events, leverage. It read less like a business record and more like a confession. And buried inside, your family's entries. Decisions made before you were born. Things done in your name before you even knew your name had weight. You weren't the continuation of a legacy. You were the latest justification for it. The machine didn't need you to run it. It needed you to make it look human, Level 9. The Reckoning. One night, alone above the clouds, 40,000 feet, private jet. No destination yet filed. You pulled out a piece of paper, and you tried to count the people your decisions had affected. Not the shareholders, not the governments, the people. The ones who never sat at any table, who lived in cities your infrastructure shaped, whose schools were closed because your policy team said it was more efficient, whose water was rerouted because of a resource deal you signed in 17 minutes. You ran out of paper. Level 10. The Throne. You are 45 years old. You are worth $1.4 trillion. And you are completely, absolutely, irreversibly alone. Not lonely, alone. There's a difference. Loneliness is a wound. It can be fixed. Alone is an architecture. It's the building you designed, moved into, and then lost the door to. Every person in your life is either a transaction or a liability. You haven't had a real conversation in years, only negotiations. And sometimes, late at night, when the encrypted phones are silent and the jets are grounded, and the world believes you are sleeping, you think about that 7-year-old in the library who was told he was selected. And you wonder if anyone ever gave him a choice.